Dream big, plan smart, build wealth. This is the TFS podcast, where money talk gets real and financial freedom is more than just a goal. Without further ado, let's dive in. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the TFS WealthCast, and today we have a topic that a lot of people are talking about these days. That is the first home guarantee scheme, starting from the 1st of October, introduced by the Australian government. And we're going to ask Pramu a few questions that most property buyers would have regarding the first home guarantee scheme. So let's dive straight into it. Pramu, can you please outline the major changes coming to the home guarantee scheme on the 1st of October, such as the removal of income caps, unlimited places, and the new price caps for different states?
Sure, Vishi. It's one of the topics that everybody is talking about these days, especially the first home buyers. I think most of these people were waiting for this kind of changes to happen. No, property prices have gone up, so therefore the borrowing capacity versus the property prices, and then different states has different issues. So I think I do like this change from the government. They have really thought about the first home buyers, the problems that these guys are facing, how to address them. So from the 1st of October in 2025, unlimited places, no income caps, right? So unlimited places means before you had a certain amount of places, or there was a quota. So if that quota has been filled, you have to wait till the next quota opens up. Now that's gone, right? So if you're eligible, you can apply, you'll get your place. The other one, no income caps. Now this one is very good for especially hardworking couples, young single fellows who's earning good income. There are professionals like lawyers, doctors, engineers who are earning above 125,000 single guys. Now, finally, these guys can take use of this home buyer guarantee scheme. So I'm more used to this home loan deposit scheme name. So they keep changing the name as well when they're changing all these things.
Yeah, basically the 5% deposit scheme was already there, but they just introduced a few changes where they got rid of the price cap. They increased the max price cap, for example, in Victoria from 800,000 to 950,000. And then also earlier they had restrictions on regional suburbs. Now it doesn't matter. You can buy regional, you can buy in metro.
Yeah. So there are few changes that happen in that the price point as well. I hope that they will keep this name, home guarantee scheme, as is, because if they're going to change his name again, man, I'm going to be, I'm just going to call it whatever I want it from this point onwards,
I'm pretty sure if the party changes in the next elections, they'll bring a funny name as well.
Never know. So this property prices, right, property price caps, they've increased it, which is very good, right? And they've really considered about the actual price points of properties in the market. Example, New South Wales, up to 1.5 million.
Thank you very much. Very realistic figure. At least now, first home buyers can consider getting a good property.
Yeah. How many of our first home buyers ended up buying properties above million in New South Wales, which they should have got the zero LMI, or they should have been approved under home guarantee scheme. But unfortunately, they were not eligible because of the property prices were above the threshold, right? Now, finally, there is a realistic figure, 1.5 million. Victoria, I'm a little bit disappointed, 950,000. Maybe you can, we can go to million. Come on. What's the difference of these 50,000? I just don't understand that 50,000 difference, but better than 800,000, I would say.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But look, it's a good thing for fellow Victorians. We know there's quite a lot of first home buyers who are asked to buy their land or have their build contract within the $800,000 price point, or buy their whatever the property that they want to buy within that 800,000. Look, relatively it was okay, but because of the demand was going up very fast, the land prices were going up in Victoria. We saw that change happening in the last 6 months. We saw quite a lot of people were not eligible because their total price was going beyond 800,000. So finally, Victorians, you have now to spend up to 950,000. Doesn't mean that you should be, spend your money wisely, I would say, but it's a good threshold.
Now on that topic, from since we're talking about the first home guarantee scheme, I'm going to pick your brain. I'm going to put you on the spot, right? Because, everyone's going to be talking about the benefits about the first home guarantee scheme and whatnot. But now, with this, there's also a lot of concerns that have been raised, right? And as a property investor yourself, I want to ask you, a lot of people say it's better to get into the market right now than wait it out, because what's going to happen is now the market's going to get flooded, right? The moment they got rid of the income caps, now people with higher income who are buying their first home, there'll be a lot of those people getting into the market. And of course, what that's going to do to the prices of property is it's going to go up.
Yeah.
Right? So in your experience, what do you have to say to first home buyers who are still out there thinking, oh, maybe I should wait for property prices to come down?
Look, if you're going to wait for the property prices to come down, I don't think it'll happen, in my personal opinion. I mean, there are quite a lot of people who are still waiting for the last 15 years for the property prices to come down, and know that they're paying a very high rental expense thanks to that. So first home buyers, don't wait for the prices to come down, which it will not happen. These are the good examples. Government is, federal government, state governments, they're all encouraging first home buyers to get onto the property market, buy their first home. They also want to encourage people to go into the construction, so buy land and build houses, so they can boost the construction industry, create more jobs, and that has ripple effect. We get a good economic status, right? So these are the things that are currently happening. So if my advice is first home buyers, work out how much you can pay per month, right? Have a budget. Speak to or do some research first. Where can you afford? What kind of properties have been sold in the last week or two, right? This information is freely available. You don't need experts to come and tell you these are the properties that were sold in the last 3 months. Trust me, I've seen quite a lot of buyers agents out there these days, and I mean, look, guys, this information is freely available, right? Go to realestate.com.au. You see the prices, what's been sold, right? Do that research. Maybe go for a drive, that area you want to buy and live. Have a look at it, get a feel. If you really want to, if you're concerned about the security or the safety side of it, maybe lock your doors and go for a drive in the night and see, are there any activities? Friday night, Saturday nights would be good days to check it out as well. Have a look at some schools around if you're planning to have children in the future. Or if you're not planning to have children in the future, maybe have a look around some good cafes and restaurants, I don't know, things like that. Just work it out, whether this area suits your lifestyle. And these information and these experience, you can do it. Now, majority of our first home buyers who are getting the finance approved with TFS, we do help them with certain inside information about, what's the trend in the area, what sort of properties in the market for rent, what sort of properties in the market for sale, what's sold, what not, right? We give that information just to help these guys out. But the main thing is we help them out to work out their borrowing capacity, to understand which bank that they can go and get the loan approved, and also get the perfect interest rate, not the lowest sometimes, that perfect interest rate, right? So you got to do that. That is part of your budget.
Yeah.
So once you do that, with these government grants that's available, the schemes that are available, it's a helping hand for you to get onto the property market. So I say to you, if you're a first home buyer, it's a very good time to buy. As a property investor, for me, I am actively looking to buy properties because I know there could be another 2 or 3, maybe 4 rate cuts.
Yeah.
Right. That will create more demand into the market. Right. I'm looking in Victoria actively. I mean, I'm always a Victorian. I always invest in Victoria. I love it. Yes, land tax is not the best, but Victoria hasn't done anything wrong for my portfolio. In fact, it helped me to even consider and play around with other states. Right. So it's a safe place to invest. And if you're buying in other states, we have quite a number of clients who are buying their first homes in other states, right? Do your research. It's the same way. There's no difference. And if you need help, pretty much every one of our mortgage brokers here will spend that time and help you to figure out what, where to buy, what to do, and how to work out your approval. So essentially, these are the main things that you have to do as a first home buyer, right? Don't wait. Waiting is not for real estate, maybe for dating, I don't know, right? So not for real estate. You buy and wait. You don't wait to buy. Clear?
Clear. Now, moving on from that, right? So, actually, if you would elaborate a bit more on that, now that the 5% deposit scheme, the price cap went from 800,000 to 950,000 in Victoria, right? If you're a first home buyer, to purchase a property over $750,000 of value, you lose the $10,000 first home owner's grant, right? So there are some buyers who are anticipating more rate cuts to come in the future. So they've calculated in their heads, okay, my repayment's going to go down. I can afford to forego the $10,000 government grant and buy a more expensive property as a first home buyer. That would really, they're really cutting it thin. Imagine the RBA doesn't give more rate cuts.
Yeah.
Right? So what do you have to say to clients like that who are really playing with the borrowing? I mean, they are risking cutting down on their lifestyles just to have a bigger house, whereas there would be a property that's around that 750,000 mark, which has more potential to generate equity for them going forward. What do you have to say to first home buyers like that try to max out their borrowing instead of taking their time to look for a really good package and they let the emotions take over and purchase property?
Vishi, brilliant question. Right now, this happens to young first home buyers, to mid-age first home buyers, to even the matured first home buyers. Matured, when I meant by that, they've seen a lot of cycles in the market, right? So this happens to them too. You get carried away, I want to buy that. I want to have a 5-bedroom house. I want to have that 4-bedroom house. I want to have a man cave. I mean, list goes on.
And most of the time, in case of Sri Lankans, mostly it's competition, right? Their friends might have a pool in the house or might have a massive living area where they throw parties and they want to do the same thing. What they don't understand is they don't compare the circumstances. The friends could be having a business on the side that generates passive income for them, right? Or could be having more savings that they bring over from, let's say, Sri Lanka. So, but what advice do you have to give as you and Sonali all started from the ground up and built your property portfolio? And I'm pretty sure you all had instances where emotions would have taken over your decision making. But then, of course, I know you like to stick to numbers. Sonali also likes to let the numbers make sense. And that's how you guys base your decision. So what advice would you give first home buyers along those lines?
Vishi, this is now me and Sonali got into the property industry. We were 29. All right. So 11 years later, so that tells my age, I'm 40. Right. 11 years later, we still use the same strategy. I call it 20-80 rule. 20% regardless, non-negotiable savings. Non-negotiables. 80% you can expense. Now, out of that 80%, there are percentages that you expense. Right? You get to expense about 40% or maybe 45% of that 80 towards a mortgage repayment. Now, this is an argument that this is not an argument. This is a statement I have made few places. Ended up being arguments as well with this because there are certain valid points that some people did raise to me. I said, look, yes, you could have done it before, but the rates are now high. The inflation's going up. Living expenses are much more than when you guys started 11 years ago or 10 years ago. Understand? I get it. But you also need to understand there are more opportunities right now for you. When we started 10 years ago, I did have Uber driving. You think, Vishi, when I had Uber driving, you think I won't do it? Right? I wish if there was Uber driving. Imagine that. Man, I would have creamed some money here. Okay? Yeah. Because there are a lot of opportunities at this same of this time that you guys are living. So don't just look at it in that corner. It's all about your lens. If your lens is not showing you how to make money, maybe it's time to change your lens. Right? Yeah. Simple as that. So first home buyers, I always say 20% what your income needs to go to savings because that is important. 80%, out of the 80%, if you can play around with 40 to 45% towards a mortgage, you're in a very good space. There's a reason I'm telling you to do this because once you start investing in other investment properties, this 40, 45% going to increase towards 50, 52, 53, 54. Now, if you're good with your numbers, you can play with 1 to 2% increments. Now, every 1 to 2% increment from your income is a property that you're adding to your portfolio. So then if you look at the compounding growth, compounding net wealth that you're building, it's very good. Right? So I think there was an episode that Sonali discussed about investing or having your savings in a savings account versus having your savings in a property. Right. Same theory. She's coming from financial planning. And that's the lens she looks at. I come from street hustling. Right? That's what I look at. If I have $100, I'll put $20 for a rainy day and let me play around with my 80. Right? That's the simple mathematics to me. So when you apply the same thing for your first home, guys, how much you need to pay for your mortgage, that's where you got to stick it. You have to stick with it. Yeah. You cannot go at 70% just because your friend has a bigger house. He may have a larger income. Right? So you can't compare yourself with your friend or your neighbor. You cannot do it. Stop comparing. I mean, fellow Sri Lankans, you do that. Why? You all got the same color skin, brown.
I mean, I don't know about the color skin. I'm more chocolate brown. These are shades. No, you know what I'm saying? You have the same house, you can have different colors. Your facade may look very different to the same. How many houses in Metricon built in the same floor plan? Plus, honestly speaking, how much time do you actually spend at home? You wake up, you go to work, right? You spend a lot of time on the road. You come home and you watch a movie and you sleep. And you cook a meal. That's it. Even on the weekends, most people don't spend time at home. They're out with their friends. So to actually think of it from a practical sense, it's better to go with the property where the numbers make sense, as opposed to where your emotions are allowed to run wild.
Absolutely, Vishi, because the emotions, in my experience, again, this is not financial plan advice, okay? Please understand this. Emotions, to me, is an expense. Okay, I know there's going to be a lot of people going to talk about this. What the hell, man? What are you talking about? Emotion is always an expense to me.
But I'm pretty sure I'm not talking about love, though, right? This is...
Oh, if you really think about it, that's an expense as well, right?
I mean, your wife might be listening to this podcast. So
I mean, as part of this podcast, I'm pretty sure she agrees to these kind of things. It's an expense, right? When your children comes into your life, it becomes an expense. Not that you don't love them, but that's an expense.
Yeah, when you look at it on a balance sheet, yeah, you're right, that is an expense.
Yeah. So if you can be in a position to give your children, your wife or girlfriend or your boyfriend, or a life that they are gonna be loving as well, by creating the wealth, by managing your money correctly, that's the place I would say you gotta be. As a first-home buyer, you gotta start there, right?
Yeah. I mean, the start is always the hardest, right? And
Absolutely. That's why we ask so many questions if you're a first-home buyer. But if you're an investor, banks, then we don't ask that much of questions.
I mean, most of our investment property clients, once you tell them the numbers make sense, they're like, yeah, Pramu, done. They don't even look at the facade. They don't even look at the builder or the property. They're like, yeah, Pramu, if you say the numbers make sense, let's do it. And that's how you help so many of your clients build a property portfolio, because you give them the same strategies you use for yourself. So
exactly, I call these guys set and forget investor. One of our episodes we talked about. But as a first home buyer, you have to make sure you have done your numbers correctly, right? That trust me, if you really want to go down this path, guys, use that 20% savings, 80% on expense. Out of your 80%, try and work out 40 to 45% as your mortgage repayment. Now, one of the other thing I want to tell you first home buyers is, you may work out your numbers on a lower rate. Now, we are on a market where the rates are coming down. We have, currently, I think the lowest rate is about 4.89. When I saw it in the morning, it was 4.89. It's low, right? Compared to where we were coming from. So don't work out your numbers at 4.89 and say, oh, that means I can go and borrow a bit more. Guys, come and maybe work it out at 5.29 or 5.50.
Yeah, because then you're always keeping that buffer for...
You have a buffer.
Yeah.
You have a buffer. You have a buffer on top of a buffer. If the rate goes up to 7, you're good. You're fine.
Backup plan.
Yes.
Awesome, Pramu. So I think this has been a very in-depth conversation
for first-home buyers.
Right? We reflected on the newly launched first-home guarantee scheme. We gave some strategies for first-home buyers. We told them to let the numbers do the talking. You gave them a plan on how to save and manage the expenses. So I guess I don't have any further questions for this episode. Do you have any other questions?
Not questions. I wanted to touch base few little things, especially on the first home loan deposit scheme or home guarantee scheme, guys. One thing I couldn't touch base before was Queensland. If you're in Queensland, up to 900,000 you can go and buy. You're eligible. South Australia, 850,000. Western Australia, 850,000 for Western Australia as well, and 700,000 in Tasmania. Now, what I wanted to touch base very quickly, I'll go rapid pace here. property prices will go up. This kind of markets I have seen twice. So this will create, as we discussed before, quite a lot of people, more borrowing power, more affordability. They're going to come in. Spring market is here already, right? So there's going to be a lot of people. You will see auctions are like pretty cool. A lot of people out there. There's a bit of a buzz around these auctions, especially in September in Melbourne.
And also like properties that get listed on the market, they spend less time.
Yep.
Listers leverage. Listing time is reducing as well.
Yep.
From the data.
Days on the market is reducing, right? Windows discounts are reducing, by the way. This is why a lot of people end up paying a bit more.
Most of the properties that had rebates on it, now magically the rebates have reduced by half or been taken off.
Yep. Right. So the property prices will go up, especially in Sydney and Melbourne. End of the day, guys, this is where a lot of people want to live. No hard feelings to Queensland and South Australia and Western Australia, but to this date, Sydney and Melbourne is considered as the global cities.
Yeah, so, and one of the main catalysts for the property prices in Melbourne is immigration.
Exactly.
And they come in large numbers. These guys need houses. They're not buying a house. They're renting a house.
Yep. So guys, there's going to be a lot of movement. Be prepared for it. How to get prepared? If you need more information, do get in touch with our team. We have a good set of team here. Good set of individuals from 20 years of experience to experiences in relationship management of high net worth clients, medical side of it. So there are quite a number of people. Come and say hi to us. We'll be more than happy to help you. Last thing before I say goodbye to you and until for the next episode, lender risk assessment. Now, everybody thinks just because the rates are coming down, government is giving free money or free entry points. Come, buy. Lender risk assessment goes up. Please understand this. Lenders.
You can elaborate more on lender risk assessment to some of our first home buyers who might not know.
Yeah. So very simply, now lenders can understand there's a big market here. So we can start lending for quite a lot of people. So now what they're going to look at, they're not just going to give money to every single person. They're going to be checking you out quite a lot.
So checking you out quite a lot.
They're going to check you out quite a lot. Trust me, they will even go to your Facebook. If it's public. Okay. That's called risk management or risk assessment. So they want to know who you are. They want to know how are you earning your income and how stable is your salary is. Is your employer stable? Right.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure, now with all these rate cuts coming in, that opens the doors for more mortgage brokers, I would say dodgy mortgage brokers to do shifty things. And let's touch on those controversial subject, Vishi. But what we are doing here, we're giving information for people who want to get into the property market, right? So lender risk assessment is very important. This is going to happen. They're going to put further buffers. They're gonna ask more questions. They're gonna come up with even more documentation process. This is normal. This happens when the rates were 1.99 as well. Right, a lot of people have forgotten about it. It wasn't that far off, 3-4 years ago, by the way. This is going to happen. So keep that in mind. Just because the rates have come down doesn't mean that you're going to have 150,000 more borrowing capacity. They will wet you up. Right? They want to know who you are before they lend you money. But if you have done your due diligence, or if you're done what you're supposed to do, saving right, earning correctly, having good habits with your money, right? You have a very good chance get into the market and start building this portfolio I always talk about. That's the game. That's the game indeed. So, with that being said, I think we can end this episode.
I think so. I think there's a lot of information for that.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the TFS WealthCast, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the TFS podcast, where we turn knowledge into action and big goals into real results. Now, don't forget to like and subscribe and share this episode with someone working towards their next financial step. Now, with that being said, until next time, keep building.